Hello everyone, welcome back to the music experience with UstinBass. It's good to have you back. In this edition, we'll be talking about technicalities that has to do with the cello. This applies for all string instruments, including the violin and all sorts of string instruments. And our guest today is Jenncello from the US. She is a music educator, she is a performer. So she'll be talking about technicalities that have to do with the cello and also for all string instruments. So if you're new here, subscribe, like, and follow us up. And if you're interested in the Q&A live sessions on Instagram, you can follow us up to the handle we placed at this video. So see you soon.
Sound is like a golden thread. Almost like I'm pulling this golden thread of sound out from the instrument. The cause is music, always, that's driving everything I do. And the cello is my vehicle to do it. I'm Jenncello, performer, composer, and educator. I was in middle school, I was 11, and I knew that I wanted to play either the violin or the cello. Within 2 months, I knew I wanted to play cello the rest of my life. I didn't know what that would look like or what it would mean career-wise, but I knew that I was hooked. Hello, I'm Jenncello, performer, composer, and educator, and I am coming to you from rainy Atlanta, Georgia. Today's a rainy day, and I'm very honored to be asked by the Music Experience to chat with you about cello and some of the questions that you have about how to better experience cello. So first of all, I've been devoted to cello myself and music for over 33 years, and honestly, with all the questions that I'm going to answer today, the very short and simple answer to all of them is practice and devotion to your instrument and to your music, and having not only the quantity of practice but also the quality of practice with clear focus on what you're working on. And that's what I'm going to speak to you about today, is the things that you can focus on around these specific topics. Those are definitely interrelated, but there's sort of two separate answers in my mind with our technique, because tonal quality comes from the bow. This is where all of our tone color comes from. And so what I mean by that is that depending on how much bow you use, you'll achieve different timbres or tonal quality. So I would say that the primary focus for good tonal quality on the cello is with your bow technique. And I would like to suggest to all students and other devotees of cello that you will use your scales when you practice your scales for building up your bow tonal quality. And what I would like to suggest that you do is focus on how the bow movement works in a full bow, because then you'll be able to break it down for different amounts of bow that you can use. When you want to say play soft, you'll have already been in that small part of the bow and with those smaller muscles. And when you want to play louder, you'll have already practiced full, very large bows. So that's my number one tip for how to achieve good tonal quality. And that when you're practicing your scales with your full bows, that you focus on maintaining relaxed shoulders and all of the depth of your movement coming from your back muscles with flow and ease. So I'm going to illustrate now what I mean by that. When we play with a raised shoulder on the cello or any string instrument, we tend to then get a smooth sound, but it's not necessarily going to be a pleasing tonal quality. So what I mean by that is, so you can see there's a very nice smooth sound, but it's a little bit surface, if you will, and that is because literally when you bow like this, you're on the surface of your string. So what I would like to suggest that you do is you focus on getting into the string, thinking below the top of the string and going in as if you're pulling the string with your bow like you would pluck from the side. So when I pluck, there's a bell-like quality to the sound, and that's really what you want. You want to have purity of sound by having the bow hair pull the string into vibration as opposed to squeezing on top the sound of the string. So here's on top again, and the squeezing. And now with depth going into the string, again, relaxed shoulder, not pushing, but pulling the sound out. So in the air, that would look like this. Your arm would be going into the string this way, and as you open, it continues into the string. And then vice versa, as you go up bow, you're going into the string by going across your body this way and finishing. Okay? Now, vibrato. Good vibrato is by, again, understanding the range of motion and being able to control that motion. So my number one tip for vibrato practice is to use it all the time and as often as possible when you're a beginner with vibrato. Just by doing it and continuing to work towards the quality of the sound, you will achieve the vibrato. It's a lot like riding a bicycle, that it feels very wobbly and you fall down a lot, but eventually you gain your balance. So let's talk about the mechanics of vibrato. All string instrument vibratos need to follow the line of the string. So you want to be careful of motions coming in from other places, like your wrist bending or forward. Or having your vibrato so narrow that it's never even audible. Okay? So the way I would like you to practice getting better vibrato is to think of it like a little mini shift. So when you shift, meaning when you change your hand position on the fingerboard here, you move in line to the string, which is again what the ideal vibrato will be, is in line to the string. So what I'd like to suggest, it's going to make everyone around you that's hearing you practice quite seasick, and they might think you're drunk, but I would like you to practice little mini shifts on each of your fingers of whatever scale you're practicing. And you can hear that I'm doing it in a rhythmical pattern. In fact, you could use the metronome. This will achieve control of motion, and again, you're noticing it's coming from the same muscle group that we shift on in the same line of our string, meaning vertical, not circular, and definitely not from the wrist, and not rotational. This is another mistake. Again, you can see the finger would be going off, like lifting off the contact point and into it, and this would not be giving you the wiggle that gives you good vibrato. The range of motion of vibrato should always go behind whatever note you're on, up to it, never forward. So here's forward. You can hear the pitch is bending in an unpleasing way. We want to go behind and up to it. Ground level understanding for those of you that do not play cello. Positions on the cello are the different placements we put our fingers. Even though we don't have keys, we do have a system that outlines where the notes are, and we have them labeled with numbers. First position is the place that we put our hand that allows us to go across the strings horizontally. So that was going from my lowest string C to G in first position. And half position is below that. Even though it looks higher, it's lower in pitch, going to a lower note, and that would be also allowing us to go across strings if we wish, but is more for flats and sharps, like Jaws. Okay, now how do you achieve other fingering positions with good placement? So the short answer is that your music should guide you to what position you should play those fingers in, meaning the end result sound that you would like to hear in your piece of music is what should dictate what position you play. So what I mean by that is this E and G is much different than this E and G in the quality of the sound. And so that's how you choose it. Now, how you practice those positions is first and foremost by giving time to each of the other positions the same way you did first position. When we first start on the cello, we're playing Twinkle Twinkle. And we practice this a gajillion times in first position. We get very comfortable with first position. Well, we need to give ourselves that opportunity in the other positions as well. So practice etudes and exercises and little songs that isolate positions for you, or perhaps just two different positions, say between first position and second position, that will allow you to get at least a similar level of comfort of what the notes are in that position and where it is on your fingerboard. Now, with that said, all of your positions on the cello, including thumb position, which is my next question I've been asked to answer, will retain all of the same finger shape and angles and rules about your arm that you already have worked so hard for in first position. So you're going to have a C-shaped hand in all of your positions. So as I go up my fingerboard, I want you to notice the finger knuckles and shape doesn't change no matter where I am, even in thumb position. The only exception is really just a little minor stretching in fifth position, where you might see a little bit more space here between thumb and one than you would have in any other position. But ideally, even in those positions, you want your finger shapes and your knuckle and the angle at which your hand is pressing onto the string with nice leverage, not squeezing, would remain the same. I giggled at this question that the music experience has asked me because of the choice of the word easily. The short answer, in my opinion, is it's not easy to learn thumb position because you'll be getting calluses on your thumb for the first time. It forces the player to really analyze leverage from above as opposed to the other positions. A person could still be squeezing with their thumb to press the string to the fingerboard. But with quantity and quality of practice and with clear focus of retaining all of the things that we just spoke about, you can eventually easily play in thumb position. Again, work on etudes and pieces that isolate that position, and I would like to recommend you start with your thumb on your harmonic where you don't have to press, and play things in like D major, Now, the rules about thumb position are that your thumb shape should be basically in a thumbs up. You'll notice my knuckle is sticking out. That again is following all of the rules we have about our fingers on the left hand, with the knuckle being out, so that if I for example collapse my knuckle here, you'll notice there's a lot of weight going into that knuckle, and it's taking it off the string and putting the burden onto the other knuckles in front of it, instead of letting all of the weight go through the finger into the fingertip, where we can achieve more ideal tone, versus if I have that, you can hear it's a little thinner sounding because the string's not really truly being pressed correctly. So again, thumbs up, retain the space in your hand, and make sure, and perhaps I can send a picture or a camera angle of what I'm looking at from here, but you want to make sure you see almost like an OK shape with that thumbs up shape in your thumb. All right, well, thank you for listening to me. I hope you've enjoyed my answers, and you can visit my website, Jenncello.com, as well as my own YouTube channel, Jen Cornell, to learn more and listen to my own music. Thank you to the Music Experience for having me from here in Atlanta. I'm Jen Cornell.
Hope that was helpful. We thank our guest so much for delivering this lecture for us today, and also for spending our time with us. And if you have any questions as regards what has been taught, you can also comment below. And if you have suggestions for the next topic, then you can also comment below also. And remember to subscribe. And if you want to join in the Q&A sessions where you can ask our guests questions in live streams, then you can also follow us up on Instagram. The handles will be placed below, like I said earlier. So see you next time.